Well. Looky here. Look who's back in business, right? Man, I swear, there's so much going on. The kids got me getting sick. My wife's got stuff going on. There's just, man, what a busy time, right? Really been trying to get back into my videos. I think I'm going to have to be a little bit of a night owl and work on it at night. I like my peace. I like to dive in deep and, but yo, I'm really excited to get into this. I got some people have asked that I get into an entire album for Aesop Rock, Garbology, his more recent work. And I've already done one of those tracks called Jazz Hands. Ba, 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 right? There's a lot of racist history. It comes with jazz hands. If you research anything that has history, you're going to find that it has a racist past, right? Just especially if it's from America. I mean, come on now. But yo, I really want to get into some deeper Akala, right? And I've actually really wanted to get into some of his more TED Talks or his conversations that he's had at Oxford. And I really want to dive into that, but I think it's worth dissecting. He's definitely an intellectual, and I could really appreciate that. But I really want to hear his perspective on other things outside of the music. Let's get into some more Akala. I did a search. I was trying to find other freestyles. I really like that Fire in the Booth. Man, that was just sick. That was next level for sure. So I found one that's it's listed under F64 SBTV. I don't really know if that's, it's obviously from the UK, but I don't know a lot about it. I never heard the song, so I think it's a freestyle, but let's check it out together. SBTV. I know you're gonna dig this, right? And please excuse me if I sniffle or whatever. Oh, he kind of looks like a Michael Jackson or so at first.
Yo, what's going on, people? Akala, SBTV, knowledge is power.
All right, bro, have a good day at work.
Yo.
Recorded.
Sorry, kids, let me apologize before I go further. Unfortunately, I don't rap about how many men I've murdered, and you may find it.
I like this beat. Sorry, one of our little ones, not so little ones, a random stray I had took in. It's going to work. My boy, though, man.
Listen,
let's run this back.
Sorry, kids, let me apologize before I go further. Unfortunately, I don't rap about how many men I've murdered, and you may find it boring, appalling, and I ain't scoring blacks from your little rap packs for just stating facts. Like not a.
What do you say, braps? Right? You may find it boring. What do you say, appalling? I'm not scoring braps. I think I've heard that before.
Find it boring, appalling, and I ain't scoring blacks from your little rap.
Blaps.
About how many men I've murdered, and you may find it boring, appalling, and I ain't scoring blacks from your little rap packs for just.
Now, I think it's British slang, and I think we reference this in one of his other songs. But is that the sound of a gunfire, right? But I don't know if he's saying blap or braps, like B-rap or B-lap. Someone, if you're familiar with British slang, let me know, because I didn't catch that. But let me run it back. And it's really true what he's saying, unfortunately, right? Especially in the U.S., it's like you almost have to be a fake thug to get noticed, which is just ironic, right? Because when you talk about how authentic hip hop is, one of the bullet points, right? What makes hip hop? One of those bullet points would be authenticity. But so many rappers aren't authentic, and it almost seems like the public knows, but they don't want to know, right? When you talk about someone like Rick Ross, when you talk about someone like Lil Wayne, I'm sorry, but I'll get into this later in the song. But think about it, Lil Wayne. I remember when I was in the beginning of high school. Lil Wayne is about the same age as me, so around 8th grade to high school. Lil Wayne was already a member of Cash Money Records. He was the youngest. I believe he was 14 at the time. And he is that you can see my earrings from my mouth. Bling, 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 bling. Every time I come around your city, bling, bling, right? And okay, if Lil Wayne was already One would argue on a thousandaire, if not a millionaire, but he never went through a teenage period of selling drugs and being on the block. And I was like, how much of a thug were you before you were 14? Right. So now his face is all tatted, like he's been in and out prison his whole life. Right. It's like, yo, man, honestly, if you're now 40 years old and you started coming into wealth at 14, the majority of your adult life, the entirety of your adult life has been privileged, right? Not to say there's anything wrong with that. He definitely put in the work. But why sell yourself as a thug? Why sell yourself just because that's where you're from? People do change. I come from a really bad part of Chicago called Humboldt Park. It's just, it's one of those areas, right? It was very bad when I grew up, but I tried so hard to not be that person, right? And I got out, luckily. Yeah, I got a couple scars to prove I was there, but I got out. And I don't ever want to return to that. And I definitely don't want people that are still living there to think that it's okay. You should be wanting to get out too. And it's like there's nothing authentic about lying to the masses. But it's unfortunate because a conscious rapper simply doesn't get a lot of play. People don't want to hear that. They want to hear you spit that lingo. But I'm only 18 seconds in, and I think 9 seconds was an intro, and I'm already on one. So let's run it back. I know you're gonna dig this, right? Let's get ready to rumble. Thinking of those fire in the booth ones.
Yo, what's going on, people? Akala, SBTV, knowledge is power. Listen, yo. Sorry kids, let me apologize before I go further. Unfortunately, I don't rap about how many men I've murdered. And you may find it boring, appalling, and I ain't scoring blacks from your little rap packs for just stating facts. Like not ability to kill a man lyrically. Just thought killing be glorified. Silly me.
Yeah, it's like, it's okay to talk about killing dudes on verses, right? Because it's not literal, right? You could still kill someone and murder them and have a sick beat and kill the beat. It doesn't mean that we have to go out and start shooting at people that disagree with us and disagree with our opinions on the way we live life. I mean, that's kind of ignorant, right? If you want to shoot someone that's in the same struggle as you because you guys are struggling the same, I don't know, could have been you. You could have been on the opposite side of that bullet.
Apparently, murdering man has become an aspiration. But what would happen if you reverse the situation? Black rappers claiming they clap a black in the face talked about killing white people as much. Would they still get embraced?
Yo, that's an awesome point, right? If black rappers were like, yo, man, fuck the system, we gonna kill the man, I'm gonna show you why I can. I'm gonna slaughter Mr. White Man, right? Ooh, you see all that flow, right? If we talked about killing white people, wealthy white people, as much as we talked about killing each other, would people still embrace the culture, or will there be a lot of backlash, right? Do you remember when Bone Thugs came out? For those that are of age, we are not against rappers, but we are against those thugs, right? And people calling us all sorts of names and talking about the influence that rap has. And, would it be the same if we weren't just killing each other? Excuse me.
In the face talked about killing women much. Would they still get embraced? Or would you finally applaud him? Would you turn to appalling? You got no career by the next morning. I ain't saying you should do that. True, that would be just as dumb. Just pointing out how absurd that it has become. If a Chinese rapper were to say die, chink, die, everybody would be like, what is wrong with this guy? But some of us have become so accustomed to just behave disgusting. We think it's just our behavior and it ain't worth discussing. Or that is cultural expression. But who owns Beretta? And who owns Smith & Wesson? Who owns the car you're driving that you think's defining who you are?
Bro, listen to what he's dropping. It's just straight knowledge, right? He said, if somebody said, if a Chinese rapper would talk about chinks, right? If somebody from a Mexican rapper were talking about spics and wetbacks, right? If a country rapper was talking about being ignorant and what did they use for the Trump supporters? They called them It's slipping my mind, but if people were to talk about people in their own community, the way that black people talk about killing black people in their own communities, people will be like, yo, bro, slow down. What's up with all the hate talk, right? But for some reason, people look at our lives like they don't matter because we look at our lives like they don't matter, right? But, he starts talking about what he says, we think it's just our own behavior and it ain't worth discussing. Or worse yet, it's cultural expression, right? And he said, who owns Beretta? Who owns Smith and Wesson? When you start understanding more about the world around you, it becomes harder and harder to just listen to mainstream rap and just bob your head like, yo, yo. And he's like, what did he just say about my people? Like, yo, you're talking about my mom. You're talking about my dad. You're talking about my uncle. You're talking about my sister. They're not all bitches and hoes, and we're not all thugs and bald fades and Tims and baby mamas and baby daddies, right? Like there's so much more, but it becomes really hard when you start reading, when you start researching, to not look at somebody like, yo, if you really understood our history, you probably wouldn't make that statement. And it's actually quite sad. But listen to what he said, right? Who owns Beretta? Let's take that for example. Now, I like random trivia, I like random facts, and I research things, a lot more than people would think, right? It's a lot more. It's not just what I do for YouTube videos. I actually enjoy researching things and just having a knowledge base that I can refer to. But if you know anything about Beretta, did you know that Beretta, the family, right? Beretta has been owned by the same family for over 500 years. Now think about that. Now, did you also know that Beretta has supplied weapons for every major European war since 1650? A lot of people don't know about these things, right? Who benefits when there's a war? Who's making bullets, right? Who's paid when there's destruction going on in the world, and how are these people involved in our political system, right? Because you have to think, when you think about guns, and everybody seems to think about the NRA, and there's either the people that want guns and people that don't want guns, right? The pro Second Amendment, and people that don't want guns or want to place restrictions and laws on guns. Well, you have to think about this, right? Now, after being emancipated as a result of the Civil War, right, that's 1861 to 1865 for those that are really trying to think about the time. Now, southern states, they passed laws known as black codes. Now, a lot of people, you don't hear this in conversation when we're talking about gun rights, right? Basically, black codes were all about disarming black Americans and enforcing white supremacy. It's hard to think about. Now, again, this is specific to the U.S. Now, you have to think about this point in time, right? There was a lot. The 1960s was a time of revolution in the United States and in other places in the world, right? But there were a lot of laws that were passed after that. Now, think about it. We have the Civil Rights Act of 1964, right? Most people that have a common understanding of the civil rights movement know about the Civil Rights Act because it prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. But then, when that wasn't quite working out the way that a lot of people thought it would work out, we had the creation of the Black Panther Party. It was originally called the Black Panther Party of Self-Defense. Now, this was late 1966, 2 years after the Civil Rights Movement, right? This is the west coast of the United States in California. This is Huey Newton and Bobby Seale. They met when they were going to college together in Oakland. But originally, this wasn't like this. This was originally a movement. It was like a ideology, right? Black nationalism, socialism. And they were talking about armed self-defense, and they were really fighting against police brutality, right? But it wasn't until black nationalist groups like the Black Panther Party decided to arm themselves that's when all these racist policies and black codes really started to shape up, right? because the Black Panther Party, they did carry weapons, legally carried weapons. They a lot of people say they invaded the Capitol building in California. This was in 1967, and then he was a governor at the time, not a president. But Ronald Reagan signed something called the Mulford Act. It prohibited open carry of weapons in public places. Now, the following year, we had the Gun Control Act of 1968. That was actually signed by President Richard Nixon. And what he did was he banned just cheaply made handguns that he said were associated with crime and minority communities. And that's also the act that barred felons from mentally ill from owning firearms, right? These were both of these laws were passed by Republicans, and they were supported by what we know as the NRA, right? The National Rifle Association. It's the most powerful anti-regulation gun lobby group in the U.S., still extremely powerful to this day. Now, today, these groups are fighting to get rid of gun restrictions, and you have to see the irony in that. Right, against these, because these right-wing politicians in the NRA, they were definitely in favor of gun control when there was a concern among white Americans that there was an uprising from the black community. So these black codes were put in place. Right after that, the NRA changed its tune, right? In the 1970s, now it has a complete anti-gun control stance. Now, the organizations continued advocating for gun owners, but it's very rare that they speak up when there's something that involves an armed African American, just like they didn't speak up when it came down to these black codes that they were okay taking rights away from black Americans. But white Americans, man, you can't take away our Second Amendment right. What gives? It's ironic. Isn't it ironic? 10,000 spoons when all you need is a knife, right? Shout out Alanis Morissette. But a few years back, I believe it was 2016, there was an incident, right? An incident that happened with a 32-year-old man. His name was Philando Castile. He was in his car. He was pulled over in Minnesota. I believe he was like I want to say a lunch lady, but he worked at like a school in the kitchen. Right? And he had a legal firearm. They stopped him. He told them that he had a legal firearm. And then he goes into his, he goes to get documents or whatnot. And the cop just like, bop, 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 black dude with a gun, killed him. Give me my award. And the NRA is silent. If you're all about gun rights, you should be all about protecting gun rights for everyday Americans, especially someone who legally had a firearm. They didn't say anything. I'm just saying, right? Silence is violence, man. Silence sometimes really reveals who you are. So you got to think about who owns these companies and what policies over the course of the history of these corporations, what did they stand for? Right? What was their position? Before you support any company, man, do your research. Or, hey, ask me. Leave it in the comment section. I will gladly research an organization for you, and we can expose some of their positions. That might be an interesting segment, right? It's a call out Corporation Tuesday. Let's check out. Oh, yeah, you racist and a motherfucker. I see, because in 1992, you did this, right? Let me see. I got receipts, boo-boo, right? Yeah, let's get back to it. I don't want to hear my voice. I actually a little bit sick.
Our behavior and it ain't worth discussing, or worse yet, that is cultural expression. But who owns Beretta and who owns Smith & Wesson?
Smith & Wesson is another one.
Defining who you are, running from yourself, you find there's no hiding. So,
oh, bro, I love that line, right? Running from yourself, you'll find there's no hiding. Years ago, when I was struggling with who I am as a person, right? Defining, I'm multiracial, right? My mom is black. My dad is Mexican, but he wasn't in my life. So Mexicans, I'm a big dude, right? I'm 6'2", over 300 pounds. I stand out. But a lot of Mexicans are like, bro, you're too damn big to be Mexican, which is Shrek body ass, right? But with black dudes, it'd be like, man, you yellow than a motherfucker. You look like one of them red bone bitches, right? man, you Mexican, you Puerto Rican at best. Black and white makes Puerto Rican. I'm like, no, it doesn't, bro. And I identify as black, right? I was raised by an uncle who's black from Mississippi and my mom. So I don't really know the Mexican side of me. All I know is the black side. I identify as black. But you struggle with yourself and who you are when you're multiracial. It's not easy, right? A lot of people will be like, man, you got good hair, a good complexion. I always revert back to Malcolm X. Who told you that your hair wasn't good hair? Who told you to hate your nose? Who told you to hate your lips, right? But it reminds me, man, what my favorite poem, and I've referenced this before in some of our breakdowns, mainly ones with Marlon Craft or Ross. I don't know if I've ever done it for Akala. One of my favorite poems is called Man in the Mirror, and it's relevant to his last line. He said, running from yourself, you'll find there's no hiding. I'll run it back real quick.
You think's defining who you are. Running from yourself, you find there's no hiding. So boast about your Prada and your Christian Dior. Still security will follow you when you're in the store.
Ooh, just sick, right? It doesn't mean that you want to buy all these from these labels that don't support you. You have to be comfortable with who you are. So I'll read you this poem, right? This is called The Man in the Mirror. I might get a few words off, but Man in the Mirror says, when you get all you want in your struggle for self and the world makes you king for a day, then go to the mirror and look at yourself and see what that man has to say. For it isn't your mother, your father, or wife whose judgment upon you must pass, but the man whose verdict counts most in your life is the one staring back from the glass. He's the fellow to please, never mind all the rest, for he's with you right to the end. And you've passed your most difficult test if the man in the glass is your friend. You might be like Jack Horner and chisel a plum and think you're a wonderful guy. But the man in the glass says you're only a bum if you can't look him straight in the eye. You can fool the whole world down the highway of years and take pats on the back as you pass. But your final reward will be headache and tears if you've cheated the man in the glass. Woo! Come on now. That, man, when I first heard that, there's nothing, it doesn't need a breakdown. I don't even know if we can really trace back where it came from. But it's just so deep to me because it's always like, yo, fuck everybody else. Be comfortable with who you are, right? And be comfortable with that, and you're gonna have a great time. You're gonna have a good life, and things just don't bother you the same way. But you have to be confident with who you are, and that's been my favorite poem for quite some time. It's called The Man in the Mirror.
You could boast about your platinum chains and your diamond rings, while kids in Sierra Leone keep on losing limbs.
Oh, bro.
And you ain't...
I listen to Akala. It's like I got something to say after every bar because it's like, man, he is in tune. He's kind of like the person that when I was younger, I really wanted to study. I did get into political science, emphasis in public law, but I wanted to go to law school. And I didn't want to go to law school to be well off, and I wanted to go to law school because I wanted to be, I don't know, I thought I would either lobby or fight for change, and I ended up, life happens, you get kids and finances, but I love that he has this platform. I always said, if I had a platform, what would I do with it? And I love that he has this platform. It might not be the same platform that Lil Wayne has. It might not be the platform that some of these other artists do, but nonetheless, it's still a platform. And you can educate the masses on things like Sierra Leone. It's amazing to me when I see someone and they're talking about their diamonds, and I'm like, bro, those ain't real diamonds. They're like, yeah, they are, bro. You could check them. Like, then I would be giving a fuck, right? But I'm like, yo, are they blood diamonds? Are they conflict diamonds? They're like, I don't know, bro. I got them for a discount, dude. So, hey, bro, how do you just don't care, right? You just don't care. Like, what? Like, 15% of Sierra Leone's diamonds in production or come from production are considered conflict diamonds, right? It just shows that the production of conflict diamonds, it's still in Sierra Leone, despite the Kanye and Jay-Z song, right? Besides a movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, there are still people right now, kids that are losing their life getting these diamonds, right? And a lot of people say, well, why are they called blood diamonds, right? Why are they called conflict diamonds? these diamonds are the main. You know how expensive diamonds are. If you found a diamond that big, you're rich, right? So these diamonds, they're the main source of funding for these rebel groups. So, I mean, think about it. There's arms dealers, there's merchants, there's smugglers, there's diamond traders. All of these people kind of create an economy for these blood diamonds. There's enormous amounts of money that are at stake, and it's enough money where you can bribe officials, you can threaten people, you can kill people. A lot happens, which is why they call them blood diamonds. It's not a good thing, and it's perpetuating this system. Anytime you buy a diamond and you act like you don't care where it came from, you're probably part of the problem. Now let me rephrase: you are part of the problem. The other part of the problem is, why do you think you need this big diamond? Where does your mom live? Is your mom still in the ghetto? I know you. I know your mama. Is your mama still in the ghetto? If your mama is still working at the post office and living in the ghetto and got all these kids and you're not helping to take care of, you are doing more harm than good. Why don't you get your family out the ghetto, right? Why don't you put some money down on a house? Why don't you try to improve the lives of the people around you, right? Look at what J. Cole's doing. Look at what LeBron James is doing, right? It's like, yo, what does he say? What good is first class if my niggas can't sit, right? So what do? You let them create businesses in their name that they can manage. Somebody's got to manage your fan club. Somebody's selling all this apparel. Put them on, right? Somebody you went to college with. Somebody you know from the hood that you know and you trust. Man, you be my security, bro. What's good, fam? Let's arm you up. Let's get you legit, right? Let's put you through the training so you can have a concealed carry. Don't just carry a pistol because you're protecting your homie. No, be legit, right? Maybe start a company where you offer professional security, right? Armed security, and this is your main client. And how many people will you attract now, right? There's different ways to put on your family and your friends. But, yo, I'm sorry. If you're making it as a rapper and you're putting down big stacks of cash, and I do a search to find out where your grandmama live and she got a busted roof, you still ain't shit.
The diamond rings, while kids in Sierra Leone keep on losing limbs. Act like you got no brain and you ain't got no shame. And say, so what, I'm getting dope, but your pawns in the game. The
yeah.
The little coons who really think the goons real good. They wear ties and suits.
Yo, bro, I can't even listen to Akala because this will be a damn 2-hour video. He's so on point, right? Man. He said, act like you got no brain and you got no shame and say, so what? I'm getting dough. I was like, yeah, but what do you say? You're a pawn in a game. You're just a Jumanji piece, bro. You're just a piece on the board, man. It's like you think that you're a goon. Yeah, they're laughing at you, calling you a coon. Bro, you ever been around real wealth? Do you know what real wealth is? It's not holding up a bunch of 20s for the gram. Real wealth is silent, right? G's moving silent. What, like lasagna and bologna, right? People that got big dough, it's not attractive. It's actually kind of tacky to showcase how much money you have, right? Real money is subtle. It's having something beautiful that's high end. It's having a real leather hat, not a fake leather hat, but a real hat, and not even acknowledging it. But it's having a $30 belt and just clean clothes and a beautiful home, and your kid's got a private education. It's not Gucci belts and red bottoms, right? That's for people that have never had money. When they get a little taste of money, that's what they want to do to show everybody, look, I got money. But to real people that have money, it's like, oh, you got money, but you'll never have class, right? What does Jay-Z say? He said, money, he said something about wealth. He said, it's buying the right car, but understanding not to throw rims on it, right? Because it takes away from it. Just incredible lyrics. He said some other stuff there, but I think he said, real goons don't wear platinum chains. They wear suits and ties. Bro, with the stroke of this pen here, you could change the life of hundreds, if not thousands of people. That's a goon. It's not whooping some dude in an alley and risking your freedom. It's never touching them, but giving them the kiss of death. Like, can you have somebody take care of that? Yeah, we're on it. Boo, never to be seen again, right? They'd be like, be who? Blackish who? Nah, that man was speaking the truth. We got rid of him, deleted they don't got to lift a hand. You can exert your power in other ways. It's not just physical, bro. You think dudes like The Godfather and Scarface, once they get to that level, that they're actually whooping dudes and nah, bro. You got people that do things for you because they are in awe of how much you have and your power, and they want to be like you, so they support you. That's what an entourage is, right? You think these dudes, ever see a rapper, they're rolling around with 4 to 10 dudes with them at all times? These dudes are on the payroll, bro. Right? They got a lot to lose if you take out this dude, so they're going to protect him at all costs. He's got armed guards and stuff too, but he's got a posse. Yo, man, come on.
You're Christian Dior, still security will follow you when you're in the store. You could boast about your platinum chains and your diamond rings, while kids in Sierra Leone keep on
losing limbs.
Like you got no brain and
you got no shame.
Say, so what, I'm getting dope, but
you're punks of the game.
The little coons who really think
they're goons.
Wear platinum chains, they
wear ties and suits. Woo!
The states and sell flake. They invade with guns and tanks and take your whole state.
Oh, bro, think of that. That's Putin. Right? It's Putin right now as we speak. Russia is invading Ukraine. Right? Vladimir Putin is a thug, right? This man is a G. I'm not glorifying him on what he stands for. But like Donald Trump, I don't like Donald Trump as a president. I don't like him as a person. But Donald Trump is a G. Donald Trump has had more mafia interactions dealing with building in New York City than most of the average everyday person would never associate. Donald Trump will get you, if you mess with Donald Trump in the wrong way, mess with Donald Trump's family, you'll never be seen again, bro. This man has extreme amounts of power, extreme access to money, to wealth. That's a goon. That's a thug, right? Not the dude that he hires to do the dirty work.
Who really think that goons real good? They wear chains, they wear ties and suits. They don't live in the states and sell flake. They invade with guns.
That's it takes to take your whole state, mate.
So pardon me if I don't find it funny. You boast about it, but do you even know what is money? See, it's hard to act dumb when you have read a couple hundred books, but still in anybody's hood. So tell me who is shook.
Yo, I love what he's saying because that's what I was referencing earlier, right? He said, you boast about it, but do you even know what's money? Then he said, you see, it's hard to act dumb when you read a couple hundred books. I don't think I've read a couple hundred books, but I've read some books. Excuse me. I read some books. And that's why I said it's hard to listen to mainstream hip hop when you know a little something about history, right? When you know who you are and where you come from and how hard people fought to get things to where they are today. Far from perfect, but so much better than our ancestors had to deal with. When you understand that, it's so hard to just bob your head when someone's talking about, man, I'm going to go there. You call me an idiot. I'm going to shoot up the street. I'm going to kill your baby mama and your babies where they eat. And it's just like, yo, you're taking the life of a young black man that's probably struggling just like you were at that age. That ain't cool, man. I'm not cool with that. It's kind of like right now when, back in my day, it used to be cool to be a bully, be class clown. Nowadays, it's like, dude, you didn't call him by his proper pronoun, right? It's just not cool anymore. And I can't wait to see the day where someone's talking about some hip hop shit and on point and people are like, bro, that's not being sensitive to the community. You know how much damage you know what I mean? Like having just an intellectual response to some music that's going out instead of people just like, oh, but this dude is real. This dude is real. This is that shit. It's like, come on, bro. You wouldn't know real if it happened to you. You think these dudes are standing in this. This dude is worth, do a Google search on how much your favorite artist is worth and where they live. Right? When I was younger, a lot of people know Chief Keef. He has this sort of music called, it's not just trap music, but it's, I guess he kind of invented trap music, but he had that song with Kanye West. That's that shit I don't like, right? And Kanye West gets on it, and he's a dude that's known for smoking weed, parties, thug life shit. When I was younger, I rented a home in Skokie. It's this Jewish suburb of Chicago, right? It's about 15 minutes north of Chicago. I got a deal renting that house. Why? Because Chief Keef lived there and he was actually kicked out of the city. The landlord ended his lease and I got a discount for renting this place. I'm like, Chief Keef? You sure Chief Keef, the hip hop artist? I actually had one of his water bills for the longest time that was for the entertainment company that was responsible for Chief Keef. This was a big suburban home, nowhere near the hood. I was just like, Chief Keef lived there? Like, this is a beautiful home, right? 4 bedrooms. I had a nice little slide and stuff in the back. So it's you need to know this stuff about some of your favorite artists aren't exactly who you think they are, but they're rapping about what they think you want to hear. Come on now.
Me, if I don't find it funny, you boast about it, but do you even know what it's
money?
It's hard to act dumb when you have
read a couple hundred books.
But still in anybody's hood, so tell me
who was shook.
When you've been to Brazil and stood in favela streets next to kids holding hand grenades and M16s. When you come back to London, it ain't serious. The ghetto's in our head. If you live in a slum without food or...
The ghetto really is in your head. You think you got it bad and you think you're twisted because you're from the hood? Go to the hood in Iraq. Pakistan, go to Ukraine, right? Go somewhere like Brazil, like he's saying, where people are selling sex for small amounts of money, boys and girls, right? Just to have something to eat. And you think just because you can't find a job, there's people getting shot, right, and killed because of the God they believe in. But you think you got it hard because, why, right? It's like, yo, I'm not trying to take away. I came from a hood too, right? It's a lot easier to speak on the hood when you're now out of the hood. But it's never as bad as you think. There's always a way out.
Serious, the ghetto's in our head. We are delirious if you lived in a real slum without food or running water, where police drive by and kill sons and daughters.
People where they're sorting through garbage and there's feces and they don't have running water and they're pooping in digging holes, right? I mean, come on now, Slumdog style.
You lived in a real slum without food or running water, where police drive by and kill sons and daughters. You would give your right arm for the chance to go to school. Instead, what do we do? The killer, the trigger, to play the fool. And I ain't saying school is the answer. Educate yourself. See, it's not the money you make. You are the wealth. We ain't got a struggle right here in Britain, but you talk to act inferior and play position perfectly. It's disturbing me. The verbal murder be absurd to me. Occurred of you. If you have not heard of me, it's probably because I don't rap about coochie or booty. Quite urban seem to
It sounds so odd for someone that someone with that British accent to say hoochie. It's just you just don't hear it in the U.S. anymore. That's something from like 1998 and shit. He said hoochie and booty like he's 9 years old and shit.
Position perfectly. It's disturbing me. The verbal murder be absurd to me. Occurred of you. If you have not heard of me, it's probably because I don't rap about coochie or booty. Quite enough with the urban seem to fully salute me. But I don't really care. I'm too busy writing my master thesis.
Yo, he said, yo, you think you out here getting money? I'm out here doing my master thesis. I'm out here completing degrees, things that can never be taken away from me, like they take away your Gucci belt or take away your rap career. He's actually investing in himself, right, through education.
Type when you study Egypt plus urban scene, racist to ourselves. Elevating words of hate, we're merely hating ourselves. And if you are musically broad or dare to speak intelligent, people look at you like, who the hell you think you better than no one on this earth? And I know I'm not, but refuse to play small just to fit in your box. And I don't hate none of these other rappers.
That reminded me of this little, when I don't have any tattoos, but he says, I refuse to play small just to fit in your box. When I was young, I wanted to get a tattoo, and it was just going to be a little ice cooler that I was going to put on my arm. And I was just going to, when people be like, why the fuck you get a cooler? I was just going to be like, don't hate on me because I'm a little cooler. Lame.
In fact, it's quite the other. Look at me as your bigger, wiser, older brother. And as a brother, should I tell you you're in trouble? If they clap when you're talking of killing, do they really love you? If record label bosses' kids were dying, would they sell us violence quickly? Because they're ready to desensitize us. They tell you to shit on the floor, holding all the scoops. Throw you a bone like a dog jumping through a hoop. Don't take it as a because it is not that.
It's not.
Tell you that you're African, you're tell me it's not that. Humanity is African, even if not black.
Yo.
Be painful, better stop that. It's so inconvenient for those at the top that you talk too much truth, might just get popped at. If women are
bro, that's no lie, because there's a lot of people throughout history in the U.S. that have been, just not just in the U.S., but have spoken from an intelligent point of view that's very pro-black. And they are silenced, right? You could look at anyone from Malcolm X to Martin Luther King Jr., but you could also look at hip-hop icons like Biggie and Tupac. And there's a whole list of artists or people that had an opinion that it's more than just being desensitized. But if you have a position that's, if you're very Marcus Garvey-like, they don't like that, right? They want you smart enough to do your job, but not smart enough to think outside of the box and build a company yourself, right? That you have a role, and if you're thinking outside of that role, you can be a very dangerous person.
touch holes that we don't want to kiss, and what does it say about us that we still want to put our dick in? I'm done with the lies, third eye open wide. The tougher that you act, the weaker you really feel inside. So the trigger, and when we...
That's true. I tell the teens all the time, the loudest dude at a party is probably the weakest dude in the room, right? Because people that are really confident in themselves, they don't really have to be loud and obnoxious and telling jokes, and because you could be subtle. I always say, when you get into a room, look around, read the room first, understand who they think you are, and think about what they're talking about, what they represent. And depends on what you're trying to do. Are you trying to fit in? Are you trying to depends on what the end goal is, but never just be that dude because you think you have to be that dude. That's bitch shit. I'm sorry.
Call ourselves, and what is bigger than jig is just to run from the fact that we feel insecure. Get as many things as you want, but it cannot restore the core you are truly. That will surpass beauty. That comes from knowledge of yourself and a sense of duty. That comes from knowledge in yourself and a sense of duty.
Worth repeating.
Knowledge of yourself and a sense of duty. So all my brothers that's claiming that we are thugs, no, if we're honest, we just want to be loved, but we feel that we're not worthy and that we're not smart. So we act aggressive to protect our fragile little heart.
Yo, that's true. Right? It's always a kid that's, if you see a kid struggling in class, right, you have to identify the source. Are they really a bad kid? Are they too intelligent for the class? Are they too dumb? I mean, I don't know what the, if you obviously don't call it dumb anymore, but are they being challenged, right? But a lot of times you might find that someone doesn't understand the material. Maybe he can't see the board. Maybe he doesn't have access to the same resources. So what do? They act up when they're in class, right? They distract other people. But there's really the source of the problem is what? It's not that they want to act aggressive. They're trying to take away from the fact that they don't have the tools to continue learning as the other kids do, right? And it takes somebody, that's what being a real adult, a real man or woman, a real leader will recognize that, right? So somebody walking around with his hat turned to the left or right, his pants sagging down below his ass, his streak marked boxers out, a Gucci belt, Yeezy shoes. It's actually quite sad because he's trying to show you, look at me, look what I can afford, look what I can do. I'm a thug, I'm hard, but it's actually quite sad because he's actually really begging for your approval. Right? Somebody doing that is just like screaming at the top of their lungs without saying anything. Look at me. Why don't you look at me? Look what I represent. Look what I can buy. And they don't have to say it, but you can see it. Right? Again, real wealth isn't screaming name brands. Real wealth is silence. Real wealth is being able to do what you want and not posting it on the gram. Right? If you ever traveled somewhere, I did it really just to test myself. A few years back, we went to Puerto Rico. I took a couple pictures. I didn't post shit on social media, right? And I was like, wow, I'm kind of proud of myself because it was almost like we're being forced to update everyone on our life and do this highlight reel of our life. And it's like, nah, you know what? Let's travel and not even pull our phones out, right? Let's get a bunch of Groupons and just do a bunch of random ass shit in New Orleans and just have fun, and our memories are up here, right? I'll still document it for the kids and whatnot, but I don't want to. All right, everybody, look happy for the gram. Jazz hands, right? No, we're not going to be doing all that. And I wish, not to say I'm better than someone else, because I've done social media as well, but I had to pull it back, right? I had to get off Facebook. I had to stop using Twitter. Well, I never used Twitter. I think I sent one tweet, and that was like in 2009. When it first came out, I reserved a handle. But I don't really do a lot of social media because I don't know. It's just not the same. And Facebook's whack, lame now, as everybody's auntie and uncle is on there. And it's not the social community it once was.
And but we're not smart, so we act aggressive to protect our fragile little hearts. But we gotta deal with this pain, or it will consume. That's enough honesty, now let's resume.
Woo!
Turn this off, go back to rappers that tell you kill. But inside of yourself, you know that this is real.
Yo.
Akala, here on SBTV, double think coming soon, check the CD.
The CD,
Akala,
oh!
SBTV, double think May 3rd, check the CD. If you want a little knowledge bigger than college, I promise you the metaphorics that will offer you solace like
Woo!
alone 2.3 million stones. If
Yeah, there are.
Apart, place them in the road, they would stretch 2/3 of the way around the earth. That is more stone than there is in every single British church.
Yep.
Cut to a degree of accuracy of 1/1000th of an inch. Well, what does that mean? In 1978, the Japanese ran an experiment to rebuild them with modern technology and failed terribly. But anyway, that's enough for today.
Woo! We always drop in knowledge. There was actually a video. I'm really kicking myself because I can't find it anymore. But it was actually talking about changing the timeline of humanity. And we have enough evidence to prove that we're wrong. Our textbooks are wrong. And it just rethinks the timeline and rethinks what we thought about intelligent life, when it might have started, were there other civilizations in the past. I love history, so I love this sort of thing, but I didn't bookmark the YouTube video and I can't find it again. And it was just so much knowledge. And I watched it myself, or watched part of it, but I was like, oh, this would be great for the channel. But man, if you guys love intelligent content, not just rap, but spoken word or breaking down speeches, but also intelligent videos, intelligent conversation about the world and who we are and our place in the world, make sure you show some love by not just liking the video, but subscribing to the channel. We get into a lot of the more lyrically dense artists because I think there's a lot of knowledge there, but I also want to get into things like history or historic references that it's important that we know, and it's not widely known. I hate when I start talking to a kid, including my kids or teenagers in this house, and they're like, what? What's Black Wall Street? What? I'm not doing my job, right, as the adult in this house if you don't know what Black Wall Street is, right? If you don't know who certain, not just Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, I don't want your Black History Month education, but there's so much about our world that's not public knowledge, and I'm really looking at diving into that on this channel. We hope to see you there. Peace.